Hi, I'm John Hazel, automation expert and business strategist.
And I'm Kevin Miller, software lead and seasoned podcaster.
And this is the Automate and Elevate podcast, where we help you build systems, create leverage, and scale your business.
On today's episode, we'll talk about how to market effectively on a budget and how to utilize your team to get the visibility your business needs. Yes, good to see you again, John.
You too. Let's dive
So,
in.
yeah, I know we got a pretty interesting show. This is something that a lot of smaller business owners they're struggling with is how do you get your business seen, especially when you don't have countless dollars to spend on advertising or hire someone to push your business. So, like, just from your experience, what are some of the strategies that have worked for you to help you get visible?
Yeah, I think the number one most important thing is knowing who your target audience is, know your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and think about what's the most effective marketing and or sales channel, right? Like, because in my mind, sales is a more direct connection. You're like, doing cold email, cold call, cold social, whatever, but it's like you're selling directly door to door, versus marketing where the door to door equivalent is flyering. You're like, canvassing and putting flyers out, right? You're publishing ads on, so those are two different engines of your airplane. There's the sales engine and the marketing engine. So um on the on both sides, I would say, like, you just got to start somewhere, because once you start planting seeds in the ground, once you start watering those seeds, it's amazing how you see fruit from that. But um, you have to do the work every week, and you can't expect results for months because it takes time to do these things, right? So you have to, one, know who your target audience is and know the channels that they're going to be listening to the most closely. For some people, we've talked in this podcast about in-person networking events, and those are really powerful tools, especially for service-based businesses. Um, but know who your audience is. Is that the place you need to be? Is it direct mail, which is going to cost a little bit more? Is it paid ads on Meta? Is it paid ads on Google? Are they searching for your type of business? And if you do the paid ad on Google, then you're going to pop up at the top of the list for them. Um, it's not that hard to create an ad on like Google, Meta. All these platforms make it pretty easy to create an ad. The hard part is making sure it's optimized to really hit your audience, right? Um, on the sales side, there's a little bit of technical knowledge that's good to know, like what a sales funnel looks like. So if you're just getting started and you have no idea what that even looks like, I would look up lessons on a sales funnel and figure out, how do I get people top of funnel? And then how do I narrow it down to qualified leads that are good fits for my company? And then how do I narrow it down even further to, to somebody that I can actually have a call with? And then how do I close that sale, convert, right? So um that's the bottom line, is like, start somewhere and don't get paralysis of analysis. Just, what's the next thing I can do? If it's in-person networking, hop on meetup.com, find a place to go. If it's flyering, I mean, you can print, you know, thousands of flyers pretty inexpensively on like Got Print or Vistaprint, websites. Ideally, support your local print shop. I like I have a little bit of a background in production printing, and so I know like how hard this stuff is. And it's really great when you have a local print shop and you can get that turned around very quickly. But if you need to do it as inexpensively as possible, go on Got Print or Vistaprint. If we're talking digital, start building your organic social media platforms. Like, you can do that for free. It just costs you time. You can use the free version of Canva, and you can create creative assets. On the $20 a month version of ChatGPT, you can create really good graphics, and you can kind of streamline it and get a prompt in that's like consistent each time. You can create a project and make sure that the instructions are consistent, so that you're getting similar looking creative assets out of ChatGPT each time. So you can do these things fairly inexpensive, but you have to start somewhere.
So just from your experience, someone just starting out, what do you think is more likely to have initial success? Like something in person, physical, like flyers, or focusing on social media? Like if they had to pick one of the two, which ones would you recommend out of the two to start?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously depends on if it's a local business, a local, home service or a gym or something that's local, then I would go with flyering and direct mail, and actually, putting a sticker on your car. Just please make it look good. I can't stand when I see like terrible looking magnets on cars or vinyl wrap. I've seen like vinyl wrapped cyber trucks that look awful. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Please make it look good. Get It's like worth paying for a professional designer for that, because you're driving all around town, everybody's seeing that, and like, but if it looks interesting, I mean, I don't recommend this, but I literally saw a vehicle that had not even a full vinyl wrap, just like the rear windshield had a thing on it, and it wasn't clear what it was, but it looked so good. The design was so good that I was really curious what it was, and so I googled it and looked it up. And it's not something that I would engage in, but it's like that's the power of a good design, is it can like spark curiosity. Your messaging should be more clear. They should have been more clear about what their business was. Um, but that's anyway, for local, that's where you want to start, right? For a service-based business that's, nationwide or worldwide, then obviously you need to be digital. And so I think you should find the channel, one, that makes the most sense for your target audience, like I said, and two, that's the most natural to your style, right? Like, this is why we're doing a podcast, because it's much easier for me to talk about a subject when I'm talking with somebody about it. When you're asking me questions and I feel like I'm just talking to you, then there's a lot we can talk about, right? But when I have to just like sit in front of a camera for social media, that's kind of annoying and hard for me. So it's like easier to do this. So because you just need to start somewhere, start with whatever is lowest friction for you and get something up, right? And if you just don't have paralysis of analysis, like, you got to start somewhere. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be polished. Just begin.
Awesome. So, like, in terms of identifying your niche, in terms of identifying your target audience, how does a business, what are some of the steps that a business can utilize to go about finding that audience that's going to resound with whatever they're selling?
Yeah. So um, the market research is really the key, like, because we tend to have our own ideas of who our audience is, what our, all these things, right? And we have this bias. We have all these biases towards it, and it can be expensive and difficult to do real market research. So now we have like at least a good starting point where you can use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok, any of them, like, they all have deep research functions now, and they're called different things. Like, on Claude, it's just called research. I think ChatGPT is deep research, whatever. But I would do one of those searches and say, give as much detail as you can about what your product or service is, and do a deep research and say, who do you think my target audience is? And a lot of times, depending on how large your organization is, if you're a solopreneur, or you have a small team, you probably want to provide a lot of information to the AI about who you are and who you have enjoyed working with in the past, because then it's going to hone that in a little bit closer. Because if you have if you're serving everyone, then you're serving no one, right? If you're available to help everyone, then you're really not targeting anyone, and you're going to end up with less sales. It's counterintuitive, but the more specific you decide, the more specific of an audience you decide to serve, the higher the probability that you're going to get the clients you want to have, and you're going to be able to charge more for it. So I would have the AI do a deep research on, on who is your target audience exactly based on the services, the products you have, and who you are as a company.
Awesome. So let's just say you're in a saturated field. There's a lot of competitors. Let's say you have a hamburger joint and there's 10 different hamburger joints around you. Like, what should you be doing to kind of differentiate yourself and to even establish yourself as a newcomer? Because a lot of times people, they don't necessarily want to take a shot on somebody new.
Yeah. That's a great question. If let's go with the hamburger joint analogy and be specific. Obviously people are going to tend towards these chains. I love In and Out because it's cheap, it's consistent, it's great. It's the like only place I can eat and be content on less than $4. So for a restaurant to get me, if we're just talking about price, I'm not going to go there because of that, right? So if you can't win on price because you'd be trying to compete with McDonald's and In and Out and Five Guys and all these things. So what should you compete on? Probably not on having the most menu items, right? Because the more menu items you have, the crappier it gets. Like we don't even go to Chili's or Applebee's or these places because they're just like they have these huge menus that are just so generic and everything is bland and overpriced, right? So I much prefer when I go to a restaurant and it's a very curated set of items, right? But you want to differentiate yourself on the experience, on the food, creating a unique hamburger, to even like take lessons from In and Out. The like secret menu thing has been very effective for them. I think because people just love. There's just like something novel about that. There's something interesting and unique and different about it. And so people were like, okay, you got to try an animal style hamburger, right? Which is the only burger I eat from In and Out, by the way. So you could do that. It could be the atmosphere. You choose a very specific niche of an atmosphere that's appropriate to you as the business owner, or to your local area, something that really like honors the area that people are going to resonate with. You can do custom beverages. I much prefer going to restaurants where they have like stubborn soda or Boylan's even, or even better is like when it's local stuff and you can get different sodas. So, I mean, those are like some random ideas off of that, but like take that into your industry and think about like, how do I do something that's way different from what all the chains are doing, right? We have a coffee shop here that I can't believe they haven't opened a second location because they're just always flooded, right? And everybody, like there's a million Starbucks around that everybody could be at, but this coffee shop is like all travel oriented, and it's kind of like the origins of Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's started out with this like, and it still is this way where there's like this an adventurer, a traveler, a nomad vibe, and the entire aesthetic is there, right? And so that's how this coffee shop is, and like people love it there, and they need to just open a second location because it's too small. But I think they like it that way, right? So by the way, there's a great podcast called Acquired, and the episode they did on trade, and these are like audiobooks, right? Acquired podcast episodes are hours long, and they go do a deep dive history lesson on a company and the founders of the company. And the one on Trader Joe's was very fascinating when it comes to knowing your target audience and knowing the area where your business is located really, really well. And Trader Joe's has done this phenomenally at scale because they continue to strategically place Trader Joe's close to college campuses because their target audience is basically the underpaid professor. It's like someone who has fine taste and wants unique things and wants to experience different things almost every time they go to the grocery store. It's like if you I mean, I never know. There's certain items that I like and I'm hoping they have it, but I never know if they're going to have it. But you end up exploring and seeing what other things they have, right? So knowing your target audience, knowing the area you're selling into, which you can again ask AI, like in my city, what are some of the things that this city is known for? If you don't already know what it is, right? But some critical thinking, you'll figure it out.
So that kind of close us out. In terms of, let's say you have a small team, you have a couple of people you can delegate to. How do you effectively offload the marketing to these people? Like, what are you teaching them? How are you training them if they need training? And like what sorts of marketing are their time most effectively spent on?
Yeah. I think this is the biggest problem that people have is like hiring someone and then feeling like they can just dump everything so that they can focus on something else. And this is just the principle of growing a team well, is you need to write things down. You don't need to spend hours writing down SOPs, but you need to at least like film a screen recording. And what's great, like I actually prefer a screen recording over a huddle a lot of times, especially a Slack screen recording, because at least on mine, it limits me to 5 minutes the way it's set up. So I have to be like quick and condensed. But because I'm forced to walk through the process on a video, I end up like finding holes in my process and developing those out a little further and realizing like, oh, I should create a spreadsheet with the formulas that are built in to make this easier for my team, or I should create a Claude skill. That's like almost every time I'm creating a skill in Claude that I download and send to them and they can reuse or whatever. So if you just walk through the process yourself and do a screen recording and talk through it, then you'll know like, okay, this is dialed in for this person to do. So sometimes a meeting is good, but even then, like I'm doing a video call and I'm recording it so they have something they can fall back to, which reduces the number of questions that they're going to ask me. But please don't skip training. I've just like learned this lesson over and over where anytime I try to just hand things off to get it off of my plate, then I end up, making inefficient use of their time, which costs me money. And it feels like a waste of time to focus on these things, for yourself. You want to just dump it. But when you dump it, like when you do that, that's not true delegation, right? When there's follow up, that's delegation. If there's no follow up, if there's no training, you're just dumping, and it's not gonna pan out in the long run.
So, like, what does an effective training regimen look like? Like, how do you make sure that they're doing exactly what you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, keep it simple and as quick as possible initially, and then keep a tight feedback loop in the beginning. So you're seeing, whether depending on the task, if that's like once a day or once a week, you're reviewing and seeing the progress on stuff and giving feedback. But it's better to just like quickly build some semblance of training, keep it simple and quick, and then get moving and then iterate as we go versus trying to create the perfect bullet pointed document to make sure that every little thing can be taken care of, because then that's fatiguing to create, it's fatiguing for them to read. It's much easier to like just do the thing, do a screen recording so they can reference it. There's some cool tools out there that will take the screen recording and create written documents for you based on it so they can reference that and they'll like link them together. But for me, I just do like quick screen recordings. I just have Claude write, and I have like skills in Claude that say, here's how I like to make things super brief. Here's the things that are important to keep in it. So that way, I'm not sending them paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of like, you have to read this to get it done.
Awesome, man. I think this is a great stopping point before we get out of here. What did you want to leave our audience with? What are your closing thoughts?
I, you know, obviously at the beginning of this episode, I talked about this ad nauseum, but seriously, just start somewhere, because you can't start learning until you start something. So just get started, and you'll be surprised 6 months from now, maybe. Hopefully, it doesn't take that long. I hope you have immediate turnaround, but a lot of times it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and you are like, oh wow, the seeds I sowed back then are turning into revenue now, and this is awesome.
Awesome, man. For our newcomers or just for anybody that might have forgotten, where's the best place to find you at?
Yeah, please come follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect. If you have any questions, if you need help in your business, please send me a message on LinkedIn. That's my favorite spot. I'm on like every platform, but LinkedIn is really where I'm at the most. Check out johnhazel.com. Would love to connect.
Awesome, man. We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.